Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome yet again to whatever this is. Lynn Cullen's still alive. And it is April 27th. And it's a Tuesday, which means my sister should be on the line. Hi, Suze.
I am.
Good.
I'm just laughing at you're still alive. Are you slipping away from us?
No, I realized that when the pandemic started, I used to say Lynn Cullen. I think the show is called Lynn Cullen Live. So I was saying Lynn Cullen's still alive.
Got it.
And then I stopped. But so here we are. I wanna suggest something for the house that I'm in right now, that you're in more than I'm in.
Yes.
Our mothers. Could you see that there could just be a regular salt shaker?
Yes, I've been searching for because none of those grinders work. They just shoot out these huge chunks.
What is the point of? I understand the pepper grinder, but the only way to get salt around here is two-handed and grinding this stuff. I was just trying to put some salt on a peeled, hard-boiled egg this morning, and it turned into it was just. Maybe I'll go out and find one.
Go get one. Go get it. You do it, Lynn. You can do it.
Yeah, but
I can even tell you what aisle in the grocery store you would find such a shaker.
Okay, but let me tell you something. That is only my first salt harangue that deals with this house. Yesterday, I was making dinner, a dinner that everybody in our family loves, and it's Oliver's stew.
You were making more Oliver's stew. Babu must have been thrilled.
Yeah, she's eating her way through everything you'd had frozen. So I was making a new batch of this wonderful Oliver's stew. And I had a big hunk of chicken. I had a big chicken in the pot, and it was bubbling, and I was sticking in the carrots and the leeks and and all of that, and then I thought, I forgot to put salt and pepper in. So I opened the spice thing, and there I was confronted by, I swear, 3 salt grinders.
Because none of them work.
No, it wasn't even that. I picked one, I turned it upside down, and I did a turn, right?
Right.
The cap came off, and an entire bottle of salt went into the pot, and all over the floor, and all over the stove. And I yelled I went insane. So we're blaming it on our brother, Bill.
Just kept grinding and couldn't figure out why there wasn't any salt coming out?
No, because I was told that he had refilled some of the salt grinders. And he must not have secured the cap. I don't know.
Oh, you mean the whole top, the whole damn thing fell in?
The top, the whole black top ended up in the stew.
Oh, my goodness. Blame it on Bill.
20 tons of salt.
You weren't supposed to refill those. You're just supposed to get
All right. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have to tell you, you will be finding things salt in the house now for the rest of your life. That's all I'm saying. It was everywhere.
Well, so did you had to throw all that out, wash it off?
No, I didn't. I desperately tried. I like a lot of it had landed directly on the chicken, the big broad back of this chicken.
So you just wiped it off.
Immediately got that off. And then I tried to get some of the rest off, and I thought I maybe had saved it. But when we sat down to eat, it smelled good. But the first words out of Mom's mouth, and she can't taste much of anything, was, "It's good, but it's a little too salty."
We'll just add lots of water.
That's what we're going to.
Fine.
Anyway, I even ate it because I was so angry. God dang it. And then this morning, the salt thing ruined my egg. I'm sick of it. Okay,
I'm sure everybody's totally interested in it.
I know. I am just, God dang it. I mean, salt shaker. It is a basic kitchen item. And
to our listening audience, this is Lynn after 10 days in the house in which I just spent a solid year. Which of us sounded more rational throughout this ordeal?
Okay, I'm fine now.
Here's what I'm upset about. At least I left you some really nice things, like my vegetable chopper knife, which I forgot there, and my there's some good kitchen stuff that doesn't belong there. That's mine.
Yeah, I saw that knife and I used it.
Yeah,
I used it making.
That's your chopper. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some heavy duty. That is definitely a murder weapon. God Almighty. Yeah, the scary looking.
Well, I like things to have dual purposes. Yeah. So speaking of the way sisters handle things differently, what's been driving me crazy is that my burglar alarm.
Oh yes,
it needs a new a new box. It's just ancient, and it decides to malfunction nightly in the middle of the night. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's just in the middle of the night you start hearing.
It's putting out little sounds for
little
help.
Trouble.
Yeah. We got trouble here, and of course, and you cannot just yank a cord.
Well, no. So, I mean, I love, I always say this just because it irritates my children. I just love the Google.
Love the Google?
Yeah, I just do that to make them think
sound like
I'm old.
A baby boomer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I just Googled the proper way to, rip out your home alarm system. And I found out, I was going to do that, just rip out the wires, but there were more wires to rip out than I knew, and I was glad that I read that. Okay. But anyway, I took the whole thing out, and nobody tweeted at me in the middle of the night.
Well, that's good.
But the good news,
once in a fit,
rip it out.
Mine was in the garage. I went insane. It would not stop. It kept going off for no reason. And I ripped out every cord, and I didn't give a damn. I'm surprised I didn't then throw it on the floor and stomp it to death. So I have not had a burglar alarm in a million years. I hate them.
Well, I have to say that in my non-scientific poll, for all the people that I know that have them, they don't use them.
No. So
I use mine. I actually use mine. I live in the middle of Chicago. I use mine.
You live in a very nice neighborhood in the middle of Chicago, just like I live in a nice neighborhood in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, just go to bed with that horrible knife you left here.
That knife, by the way, there's a story with that knife.
I don't know that we want to hear it.
You probably don't, but yes, I used it to protect myself. I was being harassed, and I came to my glass back door and just raised that knife up across my face, and that person ran away.
Okay, I see. I knew it was a murder weapon. Okay, let's talk about something in the news. Right now, as we speak, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments in a case out of Pennsylvania that I know quite a bit about because it was a case that the ACLU took while I was on the board. And the ACLU has won this case at every level. She's got
free speech.
This is the kid,
right.
The high school kid who said, "Fuck school, fuck this, fuck that," with her finger raised, and then in an Instagram, and was knocked off the team.
I have one of my problems with this case, and a couple of things. Students have a rather good run in front of Supreme Courts for their free speech rights within the school walls. So they have won cases about their right to publish certain things in school newspapers.
Right, outside.
I consider this case sort of extraordinarily weak to have gotten to the Supreme Court. Of course, she's outside. They need a case outside.
This has to do with can a school, control a student's speech, punish a student for something said on a weekend, not on school property, and that in no way, endangers anybody.
Well, so that's where this case falls down, because I do think that schools are going to eventually have to litigate their right to stop students from doing some of the online bullying that they do, that is organized, around school cliques, like the lists that they make of girls and stuff like that.
Yes, but that's different, because that does threaten
totally
people.
But that would be a much better case. In this case, I defy the school to prove that there is damage to the school or to the respect that students have for the teachers they're in and the rules and the regulation, because a teenager said what any teenager would say when she didn't get what she wanted again.
Right,
which is fuck them all,
right, exactly
and now she ends up in the Supreme Court for her right to say fuck them all. No, I think that school district should be punished, and punished big. If they don't, this shouldn't be the case.
Well,
I'm just shocked that it is.
Well, they took the case for whatever reason. I mean, I know, as I said, this case got won at every level. So you're scared because you think maybe
Why would they take this case? It's just a no-brainer. They should have just said and let it stand. But if they take this case, which really shouldn't have any precedential value for the things like what I was talking about before, right? Mm-hmm. Where actual damage is occurring, far more serious, where the school has an actual case, that they actually have an interest. I don't. The only reason I can think of them to take this case is nefarious, and it's scaring the crap out of me.
All right, well, we'll find out soon enough. I was actually looking forward to listening to the oral arguments, but I didn't realize they were right now, because I was sent a link so that I was going to listen, but I think there's no way that we don't win this again. I'm just saying.
Well, there shouldn't.
You even have like conservative groups and libertarians arguing.
No, this is
her side.
That's what I mean. I don't understand this being the case.
Well, they're going to probably come down with something about controlling social media off campus, but
this isn't the case for that.
That isn't the case, but they could say she didn't threaten anybody, but if speech were threatening to another student.
But that is an activist court.
To do that.
Yes. All they can say with the evidence in front of them is, she's got her First Amendment rights.
Right.
They shouldn't from there extrapolate into what they would if such and such, then this.
Or a different case.
Right.
Yeah.
So they should wait for that case and then say, as a result of this case, the rule now exists. actual harm. It must be, threatened or, whatever the rule wants to be. But you can't create it out of whole cloth when none is presented to you. That's what I don't.
Well, go figure then, and you're not going to know the answer. Well, we'll see how the questioning goes. But I think you're absolutely right. But go figure with this court. Go figure.
Well, right.
I don't know.
That's why I'm worried. Why would they take this case except to do something inappropriate and nefarious and be activist?
Well, I guess we'll find out in August or whenever this comes down. So there's been another gender reveal mishap.
Oh, I know. This one caused an earthquake.
What is with people? What is with them?
Can I tell you, I'd like a gender reveal party.
Yeah, I bet you would. Susan is still waiting. See, the full moon didn't do it. You thought, no. She's waiting for a grandchild. Yeah, well, it's perfectly happy where it is, I guess, and just doesn't want to.
Well, but I'm just saying, the proper gender reveal party is birth.
Thank you very much. These idiots set off this huge explosion. Unbelievable. I mean, they're lucky nobody was killed, but it cracked the foundations of houses around the neighborhood.
The concussion was the effect of an earthquake.
It was about 80 pounds of explosives.
Who in their right mind? And after all of these stories of
people are dying.
Wrong.
Yeah,
people are dying. Why would your next idea be? Oh, let's do it too.
There've been 2 plane crashes. One guy blew himself up that night in a different thing. Another guy was shot. I mean, it is. People are in
a $1 billion forest fire was started.
Oh, well, that's true too. Unhappily, we are finding out that a whole bunch of people who live in the same, space we do are just frighteningly stupid. And sort of self-centered. So they want to do something, they're going to do something. They don't.
The worst 2 qualities you can think of are narcissistic and stupid when launched, when tied together.
Good God. Okay, here's a sort of.
And by the way, can I tell you, nobody cares what gender you're in. And in today's world, I'd like to point out that you know exactly nothing except the supposed genitalia that may or may not be present at birth. It's not going to tell you anything else.
No, but it'll allow them to have a second gender reveal party when the gender revealed kid that they thought was a boy
what their gender actually is.
They're instead a girl, and so that down the road you get another party.
You can do it all again. Yeah.
Well, so, oh dear God in heaven. So
that's a different kind of bombshell.
So there's this woman, her name is Karen McBride, and she's 52 years old, and God bless her, she's getting married again. And it was in getting married that she finally found the reason that she has lost jobs, which she never quite understood, why she's been denied all kinds of like a credit and things like that. She was trying to change her name on her Texas driver's license after she had been married, and they did a criminal background check on her, and they told this woman, well, you're wanted for felony embezzlement in Oklahoma.
Yuck!
And she said, what? What? Excuse me? They said, you got a record here. You know, felony embezzlement. There's a warrant for you that dates back to, I don't know, like 20 years. And this had dogged her all her life, but nobody had ever told her. She never knew there was this felony embezzlement. You know what the crime was?
What?
And she says she didn't do it. That she figures that the guy at the time she was living with, who had 2 young children, 2 little girls, did it. The crime was not returning a VHS copy of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, shame on people.
To a video store in 1999.
She should sue them.
Prosecutors in Cleveland County, Oklahoma, charged her with felony embezzlement. She was long gone. I don't know. And she says, I've never seen that show. I never watched it. I never would have done that. Are you kidding me? She thought the whole thing was like a joke, but it explained all of this stuff that had happened.
Yeah, but it caused her real harm.
Yeah, it has caused her real harm.
She should sue the bejesus out of whoever lodged that. How does it rise to felony? That's the value of that tape cannot possibly rise to felony.
They said the value of the tape, it must, by Oklahoma law, it was something like $50-some. That's what they said. And they said that was a felony charge, $58.59. And it says, according to the, what the prosecution said at the time, is she willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously embezzled a tape worth $58.59 when she didn't return the video after 10 days per the rental agreement.
Okay, it's just...
You think an overzealous prosecutor there in Oklahoma?
Oh, trying to make a name for himself, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's unreal. It's unreal what people in power do to other people, just not even thinking about it. Yeah, I'm like that's like the cops laughing about
beating up an old lady,
beating up the 73-year-old woman with dementia. And you just sort of want to go up to them and say, which one of you has which one of you has a mother or a grandmother that's still alive?
We'll go beat her up.
Go get her. Go get her. Now you do to his grandmother what you just did to her. No, go ahead, do it. We're all going to laugh. Do it. Grandmother, shut up. We don't care if you don't want to have this happen to you. Either did she. Go ahead. You just do this.
Well, you know what? When I woke up this morning, I was looking at the sort of headlines. I think it was in the Washington Post, and that was one of them. Police laugh after beating up 73-year-old.
We're going to get in trouble now. Did you hear it pop? What was that? Yeah. Her shoulder, I think. You know what?
Okay, and there was another one.
Police officers. Who are these people?
Well, that was it. And then there was another story right under that was also, and I can't remember now, just horrific. It's like, who would do such a thing? And this is the news. This is the news. The news is there are horrible, horrible people. And a lot of them are wearing badges.
And thoroughly enjoying what they're doing in not a good way. And, I mean, I don't understand. Are they trying to teach those of us who, are perfectly willing to continue to believe that there are good police officers?
Right.
And people that are police officers for the right reasons. But man, oh, where are these other monsters coming from, and how fast can we get rid of? I don't get it. This can't be.
Well, but this is.
But but what are we doing? What is the reaction of the police departments? Like in the case of the and I got to agree with the family. The case of the guy that was executed.
Just shot in the back.
Shot with his hands firmly on the steering wheel.
Posing no threat. to them. The threat was they weren't going to be able to easily arrest him for this warrant they had on him. But when did police get the go-ahead to just
they don't. A warrant doesn't say you get to kill somebody because they don't do.
And it wasn't a capital punishment case anyway. What is going on? Shot in the back of the head
10 times, and then the cops don't release the tape. And they do everything they can to make it worse. So I don't understand. You want to stop being on the defensive? Give us something to work with, please.
Oh, my God.
Please help us help you. But this is just really, it's too much. It's just too much. Listening to one of the attorneys for that family say, that this murder gets interrupted by that murder, that gets interrupted by that murder, that gets interrupted by that murder. There have been 6 in like a week.
Yeah, you can't keep up. And this after Derek Chauvin. It's just, wow.
Well, it almost feels like, oh yeah, we can't. And
I had this idea, Susan, and I don't know. I had this idea that I shared, I think, with the audience of last week. And that was, if I'm driving, and I come upon a police stop where they've got some black guy in a car, or maybe out of the car. And I was thinking, maybe what needs to happen is when white people, especially white women, who would be less likely to get beat up themselves, old white women like us should stop our car at a respectful distance, get out of the car with our phones, and staying respectful, just start filming. So that every time you see a black person stopped by cops, white people get out and start recording.
Yeah, well,
what would that be? No, I'm serious.
I think that would be helpful. I in the neighborhood that I used to live in St. Louis, I think I've told you that I used to routinely have to call the judges when my cleaning lady was arrested if she took a route through these particular 2 towns. She would get stopped every single time. And I would call the judge and say, it seems to still be illegal for, a person of color to drive through Ladue. And they would dismiss the charges. But I was driving home one day, and there was a young kid that I know to live in my neighborhood. I knew where he went to school. He was walking home from his Catholic high school down the road, and the police car, bothering no one, a police car pulls right over, and the cops get out. And I pulled right over behind the police officer, and I got out, and the cop said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, I know this young man, and I'm an attorney, and I thought that maybe I should stop and see
the issue
why you would stop him as he walked home doing nothing on his way home." And I looked at the guy's uniform, and I said, "Officer so-and-so."
Yeah. Well, so this is
yes,
still
you
going
can
on.
do that.
So maybe, but you do put yourself at some risk of arrest if the police are not following the law, because you do have the right. We all have the right, the legal right, if it's a public, let's say it's a public roadway or a public sidewalk, you have the right to be there with your camera.
That's
right.
So
if the police say, "Get out of here, you don't have the right," you say to them, "I know I have the right." It is almost always lawful, although various states have little differences about it. But still, there are a lot of cops who will threaten you, even though you do have the right. There's also an app. I think there's 2 apps that you can download onto your phone, so that the minute you get stopped or you're in a situation like this, the app is called Just, J-U-S-T, Us, capital U-S. And the minute, let's say, every black person every person of color should have this. The minute you get stopped by police, it allows you to instantly start live streaming everything that's going to occur, but also alerts trusted contacts of your whereabouts. So you feed into the app who you want notified the minute you are stopped. That's a great app for every black person to have. Just Us. The ACLU also has an app called Mobile Justice, M-O-B-I-L-E, Justice, that gives you all the laws and
that you can use to protect your
and it
right.
also does it shares anything you record with ACLU lawyers. These are the kinds of tools that average American citizens should start having available to them.
And by the way, we aren't protected by our color anymore. If we start, look at what they're doing to journalists. If we start acting as journalists, we'll be attacked too. So
that may be. But I think you're less. An old white-haired lady is less likely to be attacked than certainly any person of color, let alone a younger person. And you're never supposed to look like you're doing something you shouldn't. There's these rules about don't try to covertly, don't try to do it and look like you're not doing it. Because there is evidence that clearly filming can actually de-escalate a situation. I don't know. I don't know, guys, but
well, it does. In the case of what I did all those years ago, the cop just, said, well, I just wanted to know what he was doing here. And I said, well, I just told you he lives right over there. And,
disgusting. It's just disgusting.
And the guy got back in and the kid just looked at me and I smiled and I got back in my car. But, what? Kids walking home with a backpack, for crying out loud.
Despicable. There's just no. All right. Well. Hey, here's another one. I got one more outrageous story. Yes. Can we do one more?
Sure, outrage. I got plenty.
Okay. Well, this one is a case that just was settled, although I don't think she got enough. This is a case of a woman in New York City, and I don't know her skin color. I don't know anything. I know she's a woman. My guess is she's black. Okay. She was in active labor and she was arrested on a minor charge. She was 40 weeks pregnant. She was arrested on a minor charge. She was handcuffed. She goes into labor and she is handcuffed and shackled during her labor, all the way through the birth of her son, and even after. And excuse me, by the way, all the charges against the woman were dropped.
What were the charges to begin with?
I don't know. It's not here in this story. A minor charge, it says.
Who were these monsters?
New York City. New York City. It happened to her in 2018. She just settled. Just got, she sued. And all she got was $750,000, but that's whatever. It's $750,000.
The college fund.
Yeah, college fund for the kid. But New York City settled that one. Can you imagine? And I know
I can't imagine any of this stuff. I'm disheartened.
Yeah. I know. Me too. I was back at the dog park, so I've been going to the dog park every day. I was back at the dog park yesterday, and there was
no one off the highway?
Yeah, there was no one there. It had been really full on a Sunday, but there was nobody there, and I thought, oh, damn. But it's so big, and so I'm just walking around through it, and the dog's running around, and then a guy shows up with a dog, and that dog and my dog just make beelines to each other and just start doing what dogs do: chasing, running, playing. Before it was over, they were just rolling around on the ground, biting each other's faces. I'm thinking, why can't people be like that? They didn't even know each other. Right. And the guy, the owner of the other dog, and I never got real close to each other. We were, we exchanged some smiles and this and that, but just we're watching our dogs. And eventually I got, sick of the whole thing, and I was freezing to death, and I thought I would go. And as I walked, toward the guy saying, I'm sorry, I got to break this up. We got to go. We started talking. And he was an older guy, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, and you know what? We had the most lovely conversation about dogs and stuff and this and that and, whatever. And as I walked away, I thought, that was so pleasant. I wonder if he's a Trump voter. And it was a reminder of how we used to be just regular people who would talk to each other and not wonder if the other person was the enemy. Right?
Right.
What has happened to us?
Well, the good news is that at least in where you were, there was a 50-50 chance that he wasn't.
But I'm thinking, here's this nice guy. We're just shooting the breeze, and he could well have been. I don't know. He could have been, and he might have had horrible thoughts about people like me who feel like I do about things. But we enjoyed each other's company because we didn't know, and we were just being two humans.
Two humans who both like dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
And my God, I would just like to get back there again. So, sorry. I feel like I'm being a bummer, but...
Well, too much salt can do that to you.
Yeah, really. And I, the fact is the news is, the news is just awful. I get to a point sometimes where I just can't anymore. I don't want to. I mean, I'll watch Biden's speech tomorrow night. The news of the census depressed me. I knew it would go that way. It could have been even worse. Our chances of hanging on to the House of Representatives just got...
Right, we have to go back to work.
In Illinois and in Michigan and in Pennsylvania, all of
California and New York all lost a seat.
Right. We lose. Pennsylvania's lost every year, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 congressional seats. I mean, we'll be down to 1 before it's over. And we have, as so many of these states do, we have a state in which the legislature, which will redraw the districts, is wholly in the hands of the Republicans.
Right.
So that's, and also it makes the Electoral College even more of an impediment, because Montana
got another seat, right? But that might be a lot of Eastern elites that moved there for the great beauty. You never know.
Yeah, but not enough to.
That's what happened in Colorado.
I know. I got to tell you something. Us so-called our side, we got to start moving to these places.
That's what I said. We got to start having babies to move to. Right.
We got to
take a page out of the Hasidic Jew handbook and
be fruitful and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply, and then we need to move to states where we can affect the vote. I mean, really.
Yeah. Really.
I think I'll be interested to see what the pandemic will do to certain districts that might not be as red as they were because people fled cities and went suburban, and are bringing their liberal urban ways with them. And they did that because living in the city during a pandemic ain't a good thing. So
yeah, but odds are they'll return to the city. No.
Well, a lot of people sold their homes and bought out and like it there.
Speaking of the pandemic, here's another piece of news.
Speaking of happy things, yes.
I know. This is the news. A big percentage of doctors and nurses and other healthcare workers are quitting. They're done. They're burned out. 3 in 10 healthcare workers in America acknowledge that they are considering leaving the profession. Just can't take it. And they say it's not just the danger that they endured, the danger to them and to their families, but they said the pandemic showed them in such a stark way a kind of betrayal and hypocrisy of the people that they risked their lives to serve. The hero worshiping, clapping for them, but then refusing to wear masks. You know what I mean? They see the public now as just a bunch of, again, virtue signalers. Just, we love you, but refusing to really help. And then the hospital systems that they work for, they feel betrayed by them as well. Understaffing, not having the equipment they need, the money all going into the big guys' pockets and not into making healthcare better for the people that they are serving. Here is an emergency room doctor in Pennsylvania who's quoted as saying, "You just feel expendable. You can't help thinking about how this country sent us to the front lines with none of the equipment we needed for the battle. Most of us got into this to save lives, but when the death is blowing around you like a tornado and you can't make a dent in any of it, it makes you question whether you make any difference at all." I mean, they're just exhausted.
And they had a government actively working against them.
They did.
I mean, actively stirring up trouble against them. How many healthcare, public healthcare workers, not, doctors, but people manning the community health centers and stuff like that, were forced out because they were being threatened for telling the truth.
That is right. Threatened. Their families threatened, their safety threatened. Exactly.
There's a whole group of people here that just need to be slapped down.
I don't know. They're armed and dangerous.
They're armed and dangerous, and I would just like to say that I've been saying for several years now that the only reason for the NRA to arm these people this way is so that they could revolt.
Another thing I'm thinking about the guns. I saw somebody had written that. Oh, actually, it was in the Post-Gazette, or the Pittsburgh paper, and it was a black columnist, Tony Norman, who actually was saying the headline was "Don't call the police." So the last thing anyone should do, if you think of all the other possibilities before you call the police, he said, because we call the police for things which clearly they are not trained to do. They are not trained really to deal with some of the more dangerous aspects of a domestic call, right? Or a mentally ill person. And he told a story that, here's another story I didn't know, of a black guy who called the police. He was calling the police when another cop shot him. Thinking his phone was a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but he points out, Tony Norman points out, that this is where you have to just reform our whole idea of responses to these kinds of issues. You shouldn't call the police for someone mentally ill raving. You shouldn't call the police to help. There should be these other people, these psychologists, sociologists, social workers.
It's like calling for an ambulance. You call for medical aid, not...
Right. And the other thing is, and this is what we too often forget, I saw somebody saying, look at Great Britain, and look at London. That's a major city, right? The police are not armed. They obviously have learned to deal with things without being armed to the teeth 24/7. And then I thought, yeah, but there's a big difference.
Their citizenry isn't armed to the teeth.
Police in America, police in this effed up country, assume, and probably rightfully assume, that any address they are being dispatched to, that there will be somebody there with a gun. So if our cops are always pulling their guns very quickly, it's because they assume, and not incorrectly so, that they could well be facing somebody else with a gun. And that's what happens when you have this gun-happy culture. Everyone has itchy trigger fingers because you don't know what's going to happen next. We have such a mess here to clean up. I can't quite figure out where to start.
Yeah. I mean, we need a new slogan. Instead of defund the police, it needs to be reimagine policing.
That's a good one. Too late, though.
Too late. But, I mean, that's what we're asking for. A reimagination. No one thinks that we don't need security enforcers. No one, but we do think that we need other people too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, so let's cheer ourselves up with an obituary.
Oh, yay! I love obits.
Me too.
I know.
This guy is named John Richards. He was 97 years old. He's an Englishman and a bit of a curmudgeon, but a very nice kind of curmudgeon. I mean, he's got such a sweet face. He made his living as a journalist, as a newspaper guy. And he also was an editor, so he did a lot of copy editing. And he values, proper grammar and punctuation. So
he's the apostrophe guy.
He founded the Apostrophe Protection Society. God bless him. And he's admitted. I mean, he admitted before he died. He disbanded it. He waved the white flag of surrender and disbanded it because, the apostrophe lost.
Well, it's not losing. It just shows up where it doesn't belong and doesn't show up where it does belong.
Well, so
it's totally lost.
And he founded the Apostrophe Protection Society in 2001, and he called the apostrophe this poor defenseless creature. And well, too bad, because it's and somebody there's something I want to share with you. I got to find it in the obit, which shows for people, and now with texting and stuff, punctuation is disappearing altogether, right?
Right.
If you, like me, still use, I want somebody to pause after that word when they're reading it. I put in an apostrophe. I'm even known to put in colons and semicolons because it helps me communicate exactly what it is I'm saying, right? And here's a case in point. I got to find it, damn it. It's so good. I think I had found this once before, but it's something I would never remember. And maybe one of you will remember it now if I can ever find it. It shows how important these markings are, so that one understands what is intending to be communicated.
Well, eat shoots and leaves.
Eat shoots and leaves, right. Exactly. But damn, I can't find it. I'm going to. And this was not an apostrophe. This had to do with the difference a comma or a colon can make. Such as, please, let me find this. God dang it.
I thought that was the thing. I was going, well, what possible difference would a colon and a comma have in that sentence?
I'm gonna.
But that was just you. Please, comma. Let me find it, comma. God dang it.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay, I'm gonna get this. He even got one of those Ig Nobel awards.
Aww.
Here it is. I found it. Okay, here are the words that. Let's see. A woman without her man is nothing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which I find appalling.
Yes.
As a statement.
Right.
Okay. I mean, totally misogynistic. So that is... Oh, and actually, you can even put some commas in there. A woman, comma, without her man, comma, is nothing.
Right.
Now take those same words, but change the punctuation. A woman, colon, without her, comma, man is
nothing. Right. Means the total opposite.
The total opposite. Yeah. And this guy, the poor comma guy, he said, "Why, just look at that sign outside those flats." And there was a sign, and it says, residents refuse to be placed in bins. But
residents refuse to be placed in bins.
But because there was no apostrophe, it said residents refuse to be placed in bins. And of course, the correct placement of the apostrophe in that is after the S in residence.
Right.
Because it's more than one, right? It's too bad. It's like, I did this thing on TV a million years ago, misspelling, where I would get these, there's so many, it was endless signs, businesses that would pay God knows how much money for like a neon sign that was misspelled and proudly have it in their front window. And grocery stores just were, it was a cornucopia of misspellings. And I would go on as this scold misspelling and, squawk about it left and right. And it really was my effort to try to get people to, come on, guys, step it up here. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And I finally, I used to have to really struggle sometimes when I started it to find the signs, but it just kept getting so bad that I could do one of these stories every day. It was endless.
Well, it turns out, one always sees articles about in response to people like us and our, ruining of loss of words, that we are then reminded that language is evolutionary.
That is correct.
But I find this a devolution, and we're all going to come back to just being cavemen and going, ugh.
Yeah. Well, that is where we're heading.
Yeah.
We're back to, and I'm part of it. I'm part of it with the emojis. I don't respond. I just do a face or a thumbs up or a this and a that. And we're back to just sort of like, that's grunting.
That's right.
Okay. So, Father Joseph has written, as a black man, I think, the problems we face with police are systemic. I think the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security should create a national academy for police. This would be something similar to a West Point. This would be federally funded, highly competitive, and carefully vetted to include a psychological evaluation as a part of the admissions process. Federal dollars would go to localities that participate in the program. Participation means having a National Academy graduate on your force for a year. Graduates must move to a different participating police force each year for 5 years. That's tough, but it is like other soldiers, spreading the right way to police. And then he says voting. All politics are local. The Democratic National Committee bears some responsibility for not energizing its base about local elections. You damn well betcha. And it's why the Republicans clean up at the local level and the state level. State legislatures don't become GOP majorities on their own, writes Father Joseph. Fellow Dems, we have met the enemy, and it is
us. We sit down. We go, oh, well, we did that, but no, we have only just begun. And we'll lose it all if we don't turn out in the midterm. We will lose it all.
If we do not energize and get all those young people back out for the midterm election, which is it's pretty much just a year and a half away, we will lose it all. Biden will not have the ability to get anything done. scary. Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, I'm done depressing everybody. How about you?
Well, me too. I have to eat something and get ready to smash my boxing.
Oh, they're your guy. Yeah. Well, I got to go looking for a salt shaker. Okay?
Okay, good luck.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Suze.
Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.